Hello, everybody. So I'm just going to get right down to it. Recently, I've been somewhat. I got the shirt on, the Black Panther shirt. I dusted this old thing off, threw it on, went to class, and as I looked at myself in the mirror and saw the Black Panther thing, I got to thinking. I recently rewatched the movie too, and as good as the movie was, I couldn't help but because I'm a comic book dude. Like I read comics as much as I watch the movies. One thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was how dumb they made T'Challa. If you don't read the comics, you might not know this, but T'Challa is like incredibly smart. Like his smarts is supposed to be on par with Tony Stark. He's only slightly below Tony when it comes to intelligence. But they took everything that makes him intelligent and they gave it to his sister, which normally I wouldn't really have too much of a problem with. Like, sorry, I had to like pause something. Normally I wouldn't have too much of a problem with this. Like that's something that I don't really care too much about. But I shouldn't say that. It definitely irks me. It irks me because this isn't the first time that Marvel has fucked us over in terms of and first. I mean, there's times when they fuck over black people in general, and then there's just times when they messaging me. And there's times when they wouldn't be able. They'd fuck over black dudes specifically in order to kind of prop up women. And like, if you can't make a character that can stand on their own without having to beat somebody down, you shouldn't be making characters. It's as simple as that. There's the first example, there's Shuri. They made Shuri like a 16-year-old prodigy, super smart, super combat oriented, all this shit. They basically took everything that made T'Challa smart and gave it to Shuri. Now, every time I bring this up, I always get bombarded by like people, specifically women and women of color, who say like, and like the betas dudes. They're always like, oh, but this was good. This is such a astounding step for women. Like, Shuri can be this smart. It's perfectly fine for Shuri to be this smart. Like, black women need something too. That's why they made Shuri this smart. Okay, okay. So T'Challa got some of his intelligence taken to give to Shuri because Shuri needed it. Okay. The question is, will you guys be singing this same tune when Storm joins the theaters? If they took some of what made Storm Storm, like let's say they kept her powers, but they took her very powerful, let's say they made her super egotistical, like they took away her leadership qualities and gave them to a black dude, would you guys be feeling the same way? You won't. Of course you would. Why would you? You'd be complaining that they're afraid of strong women who are capable of leading and they're fucking up the patriarchy. This is part of the patriarchy and that's why they're doing it. Because at the end of the day, it's a double standard. You don't care about other characters eating too. You just care specifically about your characters getting it, and that's all that matters. And it's not just what they did with Shuri too. Captain Marvel, not a good movie. The fact that they took Monica Rambeau, which was that little black girl. If you didn't know, Monica Rambeau is just as old as Captain Marvel in the comics. She is a superior Captain Marvel. It was inspired by her father, who was a firefighter who went and got himself injured trying to save people's lives. He risked his life. She was inspired by this to risk her own life, and thus she ended up, once she got her power, she became a superhero. They changed Monica Rambeau to be this girl who, here's the funny part, even though Monica Rambeau is as old as Captain Marvel, and you could very well write a Captain Marvel story in the past if you so choose, the fact that they chose to shoehorn in Monica Rambeau as a little girl who has a black mother, who has a deadbeat absent father who doesn't exist, to prove that she don't need no man to raise her kid is honestly disgusting. They're reinforcing the stereotype of deadbeat black fathers, and the fact that you idiots are slurping that shit up like the sheep that you are and thinking that it's great storytelling honestly makes me sick. Because how many times are they going to have to tear? And if you're a black dude and you thought that that was superb, you're the kind of person that I would spit on. I say that I'm not going to apologize for it. I say it without hesitation because you're the kind of person who has no problem watching as they'll beat down a black dude in a story in order to prop up a woman, be it a woman of color or a white woman. And the fact that you can't see that is honestly hilarious. So that's another example. Or, you got the fact that they just straight up They just straight up will kill off. You know, there's the cliche of the black character dying first. Y'all remember the X-Men First Class movie? Do y'all remember Darwin? The black dude who could adapt to anything. Remember how they put an energy ball in his mouth and he disintegrated? He got Thanos before Thanos was a thing. Pretty horrific, right? Interesting fact, he can adapt to anything. Like, if you've seen the comics, he was about to be fucked over by a death god. So he adapted and became a death god because death gods can't die. Darwin literally can adapt to anything, but he couldn't adapt to some energy no different than a grenade being put in his stomach. And it's instinctual too. Like, when he was being attacked by the Hulk and there was no power he could make to stop him, he developed teleportation and bibbity bobbity back the fuck out of there. So I don't understand why he couldn't adapt to that energy ball. I mean, I guess if he really wanted to survive, he should have just adapted blonde hair and blue eyes, and then that man probably would have been like the second or third person to die. Or maybe he did see into the future and saw how trash the X-Men movies were going to be, and he was like, fuck that shit, and adapted by letting himself die so he could move on to a new franchise. Either way, that's just something that's been annoying me. Now there's rumors going around that Chadwick Boseman might be getting replaced by Shuri as the new Black Panther. If they do that, miss me with that nonsense. You got me fucked. I'm not seeing a single Black Panther movie after that. If Shuri replaces T'Challa, I'm done. I'm out. Ultimately, you can come to your own conclusions, you can come to your own decisions, but whether you agree with me or disagree with me, this is not opinion. This is blatant fact that they are, in fact, purposefully taking source material and changing it. Now look, you can argue about race changes, you can argue about sex changes, and that's an argument for a different time. But give me a actual logical reason for why they would make the mother, the single mother raising her kid, and give her a deadbeat ex-husband when the husband was a known hero and stuff in the comics, if not to prop up the woman and to downgrade the man. There's no other reason. It couldn't have been a stylistic choice. I mean, you can say that, like, there's no logical reason you can give me. And if you come in the comments saying it was to appeal to single mothers who are watching the movie, then I'll just get you your red shoes, your red nose, and your rainbow wig. Send me your P.O. box, and I'll send it straight to you. I'll Amazon Prime that shit directly to you. I don't want you to be out of uniform for your next job meeting. Other than that, guys, have a beautiful day. Pretty sure it's spring break next week, so you guys enjoy that. And I will see you the next time the inspiration hits me. Don't expect, like, scheduled videos because my schedule's all over the place.